What I'm about to tell you hasn't been something that I've disclosed until recently in the help of Dr. Greer, among other people, so I appreciate your help with this. In 2009, my unit, which was most decorated infantry battalion in the entire Marine Corps, which was 2nd Battalion, 5th Marines, was called in to do humanitarian assistance operations out in the Philippines, which was Operation Ketsana, which we were attached to the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit, which conducts maritime operations all throughout Southeast Asia, in conjunction with the 7th Naval Fleet, which houses one landing helo deck, or LHD, among LPDs, which is what I was on, called a USS Denver. Ironically, that's where I'm from, so kind of felt like home. So at that point, we decided to push forward. We trekked up about 300 meters. At this time, I have a Panasonic camera that has the ability to take photographs. It has a ability to take videos, obviously. When we got to this high point, I was taking video camera, and I had actually turned to the north, which just kind of slopes down. And right there was something that stuck out like a sore thumb, especially with jungle terrain, things like that, vegetation, very green stuff, was something that stuck out so well. It's always going to be basically imprisoned in my mind for the rest of my life, and it has been for 14 years, was something that was rotating, and it was transitioning between colors like a light matte gray, as well as a dark matte black. So in between, that's what it kept, and it was very smooth. We had all looked at each other as we got online, and we decided to investigate. The further thing I want to say is that I actually took pictures and video of this before we actually trucked down. We had a dump pouch where we basically, if we expend ammunition, we want to retain our magazines, so we put those there. When we all got to the point where we could see it, just like you can see that the craft here actually had was roughly about 300 feet. And the reason why I know this is because you could fit 3 of the helicopters that we flew in on underneath this craft. It was rotating a clockwise motion. The panels here that you see, the black ones, at least 3 of them, was like a Vanta black, very dark. I have no idea what that was. On the very top, there was like a pyramid structure that you could see the shadowing of it, which would elicit that was a pyramid structure. And it had an audible hum to it, kind of like a guitar amp if you were to unplug that, or like a transformer. It's very audible. If I was to hear that sound again, I could tell you, okay, it's probably this thing or something similar to that. It's very distinct. And the way that it was floating, which was about 10 or 15, 20 feet off the ground, it was kind of a very eerie thing to see because I've never seen anything like that in my life. When we got up to that point, we were then intercepted by a team of soldiers or rogue military force, if you will. The most concerning thing about this is they all had American dialects. They had American gear. They had OTVs, black. They had black camouflage. They had very similar setups to what we have, but more high speed, something what you would see special operation groups these days have. They had no insignias on. They had no ranks. They had nothing that would signify who they were. They had black ball caps. They had M4A4s that were equipped with ACOGs, which was a step up from what we were currently issued, as well as PEC-16 IR illumination devices that you use for night vision and night patrols, things like that.
The question becomes, who is piloting these secret spacecraft? Could they be aliens from another world? Or could they be humans piloting these exotic craft?
We must be forward-looking in our research and development to anticipate and achieve the unimagined weapons of the future.
Showcases technology that we've had 2 decades ago. Notice the characteristics of this flying machine. It can move left to right. It could turn on a dime. Imagine the capabilities in today's world. The technology in this declassified video has yet to be implemented to the world, or has it? Could this be what the Navy pilots are witnessing?
So these tic-tac shaped craft they're able to move really quickly through the water using a principle called supercavitation. So that's basically where you actually have like a bubble preventing water molecules from hitting the craft, creating friction and slowing it down. So because of supercavitation, the craft is able to travel through the water at up to 500 miles an hour. So this is pretty much identical to a patent that was released by the US Navy around 2018, where it talks about how this hybrid aerospace underwater craft is able to basically generate an electromagnetic field in a cavity around the craft's hull. So it's double hulled, and so between the outer hull and the inner hull you have a cavity, and in there you have microwaves bouncing around, and that generates a quantum vacuum around the craft. So all water molecules, and if you're in the air molecules, or if you're in space, plasma and so forth, are all moved out of the way. So this enables the craft to move incredibly fast through the water, through the atmosphere, and into space. So this is why this Navy patent is called a hybrid aerospace underwater craft. And this is precisely what the Tic Tac craft was doing, that the Navy pilots that recorded this craft on their videos, which have been released, and basically people are trying to work out, is this extraterrestrial or what? Well, now we know because of this new insider that these craft are actually Air Force secret spacecraft that have been built over at Palmdale, California. They're manned craft, and they're able to achieve these tremendous velocities because of this supercavitation principle that's generated by a quantum vacuum around the craft in terms of the direction it's moving at.
Wernher von Braun, who invented the rocket for Adolf Hitler, the V-2 rocket, stated on his deathbed that this is what we would eventually do, is hoax an alien threat that could unite the world and consolidate power around some sort of off-world threat, which is completely false.
The whole aspect of the Space Force announced by President Donald Trump, in recent times he's been stated to say that maybe they want them to see what they're seeing in regards to this advanced technology.
The Navy says it still doesn't know what the objects are, and officials aren't speculating. A Navy spokesman simply confirming to CNN the objects seen in the various clips are unidentified aerial phenomena, or UAPs.
A video has surfaced of a joint mission between the U.S. and Navy performing jet military exercises, and some anomalous object is spotted in the background. This could be the new U.S. Space Force technology being revealed, slowly put out as a small disclosure. I think as the time goes on, more and more whistleblowers from the secret space program will come forward and reveal the technology that needs to be shared with the world.
So Plant 42 is a classified Air Force facility that was built from 1935 to 1956. Different contractors have been working with the Air Force to produce their most classified aircraft at this Plant 42 in Palmdale, California. So you've had corporations like Northrop Grumman, Lockheed Martin, and several other corporations that jointly operate the Plant 42 facility up there. And it's a huge facility. We're talking about several million square feet divided amongst these major contractors who are all working on classified programs on behalf of the Air Force and also NASA. NASA also operates facilities out of this Palmdale Plant 42. So what we have at Plant 42 is a top secret facility where some of the alien spacecraft that have been recovered since the 1947 Roswell crash, that these have been secretly studied, and the reverse engineering has been occurring at Palmdale, so that way the Air Force is able to have some prototypes developed of various differently shaped craft that are based on these flying saucers or these flying triangles or whatever alien craft that they've been able to retrieve, that they are being secretly studied and reverse engineered there at Plant 42. So what we now have flying as part of the Air Force's secret space program, a craft that had been reverse engineered from alien technologies that had been taken to facilities like Plant 42 or Area 51 or Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Dayton, Ohio, and studied, and then the major contractors like Lockheed and Northrop Grumman build prototypes for the Air Force that are then flown out of Palmdale. So in the case of this tic-tac shaped craft that was sighted in 2004 and captured on video, its size makes it something that can be easily transported on a flatbed truck out of Plant 42 to wherever the Air Force wants it taken. So typically these might be taken to facilities like Edwards Air Force Base, whereas at Area 51 in Nevada, what you have there is a place where some of the older or some of the original extraterrestrial craft were first taken and studied. And so Area 51 is more like a museum where scientists or congressmen or anyone that wants to be kind of read in or is going to be read into this kind of advanced alien technology sees the craft and studies it.
Aircraft apparently that are moving in ways that appear to violate physics, that are flying very differently from any aircraft ever observed, and way faster than any plane that we know any foreign country has. What is this?